Witness me. Welcome back to Error Code Blueberry. It's an unassuming Destiny podcast. My name is chillybin.
Have you witnessed me? It's Meckii.
Shout out to Game Grumps for
A
infecting our brains.
reference only, not even Game Grumps, a reference only the people that watch The Grumps will get.
Yeah.
Because that's on their side channel.
Or if it's just us and we just like bounce that clip around every I don't know, 6 to 12 months. Um, it's completely unrelated, but it's just been in my head because we talked about the Witness a lot lately. Last time we spoke, the raid race was in progress. We had not yet truly finished the campaign story.
Every team was bottlenecked on encounter 4, I believe.
Yeah, I think actually not long after we got finished, a couple of teams had broken through to the boss fight.
Every live team, I should say.
Yeah. Every team that we could see what they were doing on their stream, and they hadn't resorted to blurring or blacking their shit out. You know who you are. That's some just child behavior. Get over yourselves. That's all we're going to say on that. So shout out to folks. Shout out to folks that let people see what they were doing.
I was so jazzed to jump on a stream to see how everyone's going, just to see a grown man in his pajamas, full screen, muted.
Yeah. What a good time and use of 60,000+ people's money. Anyway,
sick pajamas, homie.
Yeah. Anyway, the raid race got done, which then unlocked the final cutscene, mission, etc. The thing that actually, well, there were cutscenes either side of the sort of final activity mission, which we'll get to. And all of that is to say that now we can truly say the end of the Light and Darkness saga. We've seen it. Whereas last episode, we were basically just on the edge of a cliff, waiting for 6 sweaty nerds to finish something first.
And they did. Congratulations to the team that won.
I don't have the names down. A
non-streamer team.
Yeah, it's so funny that there's this whole this big Twitch Rivals event, and everyone's like hiding their shit and like muting their mics, and this one team just fucking sneaks past all of them. So good. I love that. Now everybody's out there making guide videos and making bank off that because, yeah, a lot of people worked really hard to figure those puzzles out. I watched a bit of it. Seemed hard as fuck.
I think it's going to be hard to run, let alone try and figure out from scratch.
Well, there's a difference between going into it, they said this is the hardest raid we've ever made, and it's obviously going to be the most difficult when no one's seen it before. Having now looked at a couple of things for a couple of the encounters, especially that fourth one, I can see some of the logic to it, but trying to work that out by yourself with no information, I can see why people were spending multiple hours there.
I love I'm seeing it do the rounds. It's the the boxer. It's the 4-panel meme where the boxer's getting ready to fight, and then the next one is him sitting.
Damn, this thing got hands.
And it was just like going into Salvation's Edge. Damn, Salvation's Edge got hands. And there was pretty notable content creators retweeting it and being like, yeah, I fucking ate my words on this one. We are 40 hours deep on contest mode and we still haven't done it.
Yeah.
Congratulations, Bungie. It really put people through their paces.
It surpassed Last Wish to become the raid that took the longest to get its first completion. I think it was
I think it said something like
19 hours.
19 hours, yeah. 19 and a half hours.
It was looking like it would very much go past 24 hours the way people were getting stuck and hitting damage gates and puzzles and all that sort of stuff, but it's there. I gotta see if I can get it done before the jacket and stuff deadline passes.
I want the jacket and the bag.
Yeah.
I think we both saw that bag just fuck that bag.
Yeah. But we'll see. I mostly just want to see it because having watched a couple of videos and stuff in the last couple of days, there's also some interesting lore drops that happen in the interstitial parts. When you're running between encounters, there's usually voiceover parts and things like that.
Other than just dropping in occasionally to see where everyone was at, I've stayed pretty much spoiler free.
Yeah. Yeah.
We'll do a
So
raid lore dump episode one day.
when we've actually like gone through it and it's by far and away no longer relevant because someone like Bife will have done 6 to 7 videos unpacking it all already. But hey, we'll get there eventually. So let's actually talk about the ending first. We'll go in basically chronological order from there to now.
I'll put it out there now. Final shape cry counter 8 for the entirety, including post raid.
Yeah.
8.
Yeah. So the first thing, like I loaded, I think it was like in our time zone, we'd finished recording on the Saturday afternoon. I think the raid got beaten by like Saturday night at some point, and so I was loading into that excision, the 12-person activity that dropped, which is fucking mental. I was loading into that at like 11:30 at night. I was like, hey, this is out. I'm doing this before I go to bed. I honestly just couldn't wait to do that. And I thought it was also very funny that the announcement message they put in said like the first ever 12-person activity. I was like, that's not strictly speaking true. The first time it happened was a mistake and shouldn't have been possible.
Semantics.
Yeah.
12 men DSC, kind of wild.
Yeah. The first intentional 12-person activity. Because and like the reason it is that is because they're trying to get across the sense of every fucking guardian in the entire universe is here to do this. And it was very much
all
felt
hands
like
on
that
deck.
when you load in and there's like 3 different things you're approaching and trying to take down these massive enemies. It was like, we're all moving together and we're nailing this, but these things have so much health. But before that, just to wind it back a sec, the cutscenes before that, like that's where we see that scene of all the ships coming in, all the different like races and factions. Zavala is doing the big rousing speech up the front, very much setting up the Avengers Endgame type moment.
Made me cry.
Yeah, that one definitely fucked me up. Because also we need to wind it back slightly further. I just realized. So there's the wild card mission that you have to have finished before you can do the raid or this. It's essentially where Crow and Cade are going through the Pale Heart and like setting up camp and then doing some bits and pieces. But that is where Cade throws the what is it, the bet, the Hunter Vanguard bet, basically says like, fuck all that, you should be the Hunter Vanguard, and hands the cloak to Crow. That kind of got me in a way I was not ready for, because like it's a thing I've kind of thought they were building to ages ago, but this made it really land in a way that felt like earned for Crow, because even within the final shape, you can see the growth of him like actually taking on responsibility and just like getting shit done, whereas before he would have just run away. So yeah, that was something that I think last episode I said, like, I'm pretty sure Cade is going to just be gone once this is finished, and I wasn't sure how. And that was a step that I thought would come, is him handing it off to Crow. So that was all set up in the wildcard mission where you get the exotic sniper rifle Still Hunt, which I haven't used. I just enjoyed that mission. It was quite cute.
The banter
so
while
good.
You're doing that, so good. Even Crow started to slide into the banter and give it back, and in his kind of stoic Crow kind of sarcastic way.
Yeah.
Yeah, they made Cade tolerable.
Yeah.
Actually, likable.
Yeah, which, hey, kudos to that writing team. That, for me personally, felt like a hard hill to climb.
If big ups if both of us left this expansion going, hey, we like Cade again.
And like Crow, like, was actually
still not sold.
You're still not sold, but you can see the growth there.
There's some shit I cackled about in this end piece that we'll chat about later.
Yeah, but the reason I really wanted to call back to the wildcard quest is because after you do that, there is a radio broadcast that you can tune into, the last one out of all of them. And it is Zavala talking to Ikora, This is after Zavala has lost the light. And previously he's been, in Beyond Light, he was like, don't you fucking touch that stasis darkness bullshit. And he's saying to Ikora, he says explicitly, could you teach me how to use stasis? And then she refers to him as new light. And that got me a little bit. It was just like this very cute, sweet moment where like they were, very much
equals.
They were equals in a very particular way. And now like having lost the light, it feels like Zavala felt, self-conscious or whatever. And he's like, look, I just need help. I need someone to pick me up here. And that was like this nice little moment, because then when we get into the cutscene when you're loading into Excision, Zavala's doing his big speech. There's a moment of him charging up a stasis fist as he jumps into a crowd of enemies, and it's fucking so sick the way that gets set up in that little radio broadcast. And then he's like, "Hey, check this shit out." But yeah, he's doing this big speech. There's like shots of all the different races kind of in this big congregation. You see fucking Savathun there.
Yeah, bitch. Where'd you come from?
So they're very clearly like, she's just here inside the Traveler somehow.
Yeah, when she so I think we spoke about it a little bit where we were like,
because the Queen's mission line storyline, we did that last week, and that was all before this. And
I think we played with the idea. I think we touched on it very briefly, where I was like, but is this a projection from the Witness? Is this the Witness fucking with us? Or is this a memory from the Traveler? Like, what is this? Is she actually back, or is this more of her bullshit? She's just there.
Yeah.
And I was just like,
we have her body and her ghost. There's no reason she couldn't be there.
Ikora was guarding her body, wasn't she?
Yeah. And the Vanguard has had her ghost. Oh no, her ghost is we got her ghost at the end of one of the recent seasons. We ended up grabbing him. The one with Eris, right? Like, we ended up with it somehow.
Yeah.
Pretty sure.
Because Umaru had to work with us in that season, basically.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's right. There was basically like an agreement struck. Yeah.
Yeah. And then he disappeared for Season of the Wish.
Yes.
After Season of the Witch.
That's what it was.
But yeah, he was more or less like, yeah, I guess I'll help you because it serves Savathun's end purpose.
Yeah.
Obviously. But yeah, we panned out and she was just there.
It's
and
like
even
this wide shot.
I was like, excuse me?
All these guardians, everyone that's roughly the same height, and then this giant moth lady floating off to the left-hand side.
Yeah. And I was like, I love Savathun, but even I was like, excuse me, bitch?
Yeah. Hey,
where'd you come from?
I'm happy to
get here?
More of that voice actor, because they do an incredible job as Savathun.
Also, I wish I kept her name because she's cool as fuck. I follow her on Instagram and she's heavily tattied and like stretched. She's cool as hell.
Okay.
But yeah, I was like, what are you doing here?
Yeah. But
lady?
Yeah, also in that crowd,
Excuse?
we see like Keitel, Osiris, Saint,
Misrax, Ido.
Nimbus is there. Big fucking 10-foot tall cloud strider.
The pirates are there. The pirate Elixni.
Oh yeah. Just everyone.
The skiff is there.
Everyone you can think of.
Yeah, Misrax, Ido. I don't think we see Verix. He's probably there.
Probably.
No, he's a little bitch. He wouldn't be.
Still on Europa.
Love him to bits.
Just
but he's
watching
a
on
bitch.
watching on a little
Hiding
screen.
On Europa with his little nub. Yeah, just a lot of people who were our enemies who are now our alliance.
Yeah.
Which is huge.
Yeah.
Keitel and Zavala are still flirting in their own weird ways.
Yeah, I don't know what's happening. It's Keitel and Saladin almost.
They do, but
he
then
went off to join the War Council.
But then Keitel in the radio and ghost transmissions while you're running some stuff is like more or less hitting on Zavala, and Zavala's like, I can't do that anymore. I don't have the light anymore.
Yeah,
and she's like, what makes you think it was the light that gave you?
Yeah.
Or like she was like, "I'd love to hear more of your stories," and he's like, after losing Taj, I'm not really in the mood for stories." And she was more or less like, "No, you will come and tell me your stories
Yeah. Yeah.
because I like your voice."
Yeah. Oh, that's right. Yeah, I remember that one now.
Um, yeah,
Yeah. So big congregation, big speech, and then everybody fucking rushes in. Zavala leading the
charges
charge with
in.
that big stasis attack. And then it basically launches us straight into Excision, right? It's like the cutscene sets up like we're all storming the witnesses monolith or whatever, and then it's us just at the bottom of some fucking stairs, and there are like
Just
giant
clearing
enemies.
the shit out of ads.
Yeah, it's kind of like 3 points that we're attacking. You've got a fire team of 12, so you can split that up how you like. And it's honestly just chaos on the screen. Like, I have not put down Prismatic since I got it, but there is just shit flying everywhere.
Yeah.
I don't know how your PC got through it, to be honest.
No, I keep the frame count up in the corner,
Yeah.
visible, and there were points where it was like, 15 frames, and I
Yeah.
was like,
Yeah.
I'm rolling the danger dice running this mission.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm gonna live Colonel 141 soon.
Uh-oh. Yeah, and then we come into a fucking massive opening, and we are confronted by this giant, giant version of the Witness with just so many arms.
It's so cool.
Yeah.
It's so fucking cool. I would buy that in poster form.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, someone's probably going to have that available. And it is basically just a 12-person assault on the game's final boss. Having seen a little bit of the boss phase from the raid itself, like there are mechanics there where like the hands come down, you've got to shoot a band around the arm. So like I saw that come down, and I was like, oh, I'm pretty sure this is what we have to do, and then I did it, and that was eventually everybody kind of cottoned on to. But um, yeah, it's just like you do a phase, and then this like big platform pops up in the middle. Everybody jumps on it, and it's just like doing damage to like it's almost like the Witness's fucking chest opens up. He's got like one of those like darkness crystal kind of things just sitting in there. Everybody's just wailing on that. Even with 12 people, it took us like probably 4 or 5 phases to get through that. The
Yeah.
dude can take a beating, and you would hope so.
But also, like, he'll, like, a platform appears in front of him, and he'll wipe a whole team off that platform in one
so like
beat.
everybody's jumping
Like,
on
if
that
you're not
platform.
paying attention.
Everybody just jumps on that platform instinctively, and then he's just like fucking blasting. And if you're aiming down the sights of a gun, you don't see that coming. And he's like,
Yeah.
fucking the messages just pop up like 6 people just died. So
Guardian
crazy.
down, Guardian down,
Yeah.
Guardian down.
Yeah, they should just stop saying that at some point.
Loading into the arena, running into the arena, Cade delivered some voice lines. And intermittently through the encounter, more and more of your allies will join.
Yeah.
So Savathun will drop swords. Like Keitel will drop airstrikes, like all the Avengers assembled.
Yeah.
One thing that got me, and I screen capped it unintentionally, I was trying to screen cap the Witness looking cool as hell. Is Cade freaking out where he's like, wait, is that Saint 14? I thought he was dead. Like, why didn't you guys tell me he was still alive?
Yeah.
Like, geeking out over the fact Saint was still around. I thought that was really cute.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, you go through call it four phases of that loop of like shooting the hands. I think you had to collect like 15 things of light or
shoot the hands, do the darkness stuff,
do a bunch of damage.
Piece of floor raises up, you get up on the floor, shoot the Witness.
Yeah. And then there's like this final stand situation. And the symbol for your super gets replaced by the Destiny tricorn logo. And everybody's super meter fills up, and you all jump up there, and it is essentially your ghost directly channeling the power of the Traveler into an almighty energy beam, and there are 12 of you hammering this motherfucker in the face with it.
Yeah.
And like, I am hard pressed to think of a more satisfying combat moment from Destiny of like everything has led up to this moment, and it's just 12 people blasting some giant fool in its dumb face.
Yeah.
And just the effects around it are so sick, like the beams coming out, and the witness is kind of like slowly drifting back as it's taking all this damage. Um, and then he's dead. It's dead. They're dead. So I've
Speaking
been
of
like trying to
they,
deal with this burp without actually just doing it into the microphone, and the timing is terrible.
um, speaking of they, one thing I noticed, if you notice throughout the entire campaign, the witness says we,
Yes, refers to itself
we,
as a collective.
and then when it dies, it says, I don't understand.
Yeah, well, yeah, because by that point we've cut out all of.
That's another step too. You
I
get
forgot about
teleported
that.
into the ritual
Yeah,
room and you cut down all the dissenters.
that's right.
And what seems to be happening is the dissent is spreading.
Yeah,
You go from one or two dissenters in the campaign, and then all of a sudden there's people like you load in and there's all the dissenters begging like end me, end
yeah.
me, end
Fuck,
me.
I've
And
fully forgot
one
about that part. In each phase, before you go to do damage, you're all in
one
there
thing
cutting them out.
one thing that caught me is a few of them went from saying end me to end this,
Mm-hmm.
end it.
Yeah,
Um but I just thought it was really, really interesting that the witness's final line isn't "we don't understand," it's "I don't understand,"
yeah, because they're left
which I thought
they're left isolated as that initial being that just prompted this whole thing conglomerating.
that was a really interesting, nuanced thing that
I
they
hadn't
did.
caught it, but it makes so much sense.
Yeah, because the thing that made me go back and rewatch it all, so I went back and rewatched someone doing the final scene. I can't remember who, just some I googled it and then YouTube came up. Um the thing that made me go back and be like, "Hey, wait, was it didn't sound right?"
Yeah,
I'd been so indoctrinated into the witness saying, "Our plan, we, the," speaking in plural,
yeah,
and for some reason them saying, "I don't understand," my brain kinda went, That didn't sound right."
yeah. That ain't right. Who is this?
Like, it, like, tripped my brain up. I'd gotten so used to the pattern
Yeah,
that, like, when that language pattern was broken, I was like, "Oh, something's wrong there."
yeah,
And then, yeah, that led me down a rabbit hole, and then I think, like, a few hours later, a Reddit thread was like, "Hey, did anyone else notice this?" And I'm in Reddit like, "Yes!"
yeah. But yeah, that all happens, and then we get just more cutscenes that.
We almost get teleported into the same bright, white,
So
featureless
not yet,
space.
not yet.
Not yet?
Because of the stress our ghost just went through, we have this scene where the ghost essentially turns to stone and drops to the ground in front of us. And then you can see like our light gets separated from our body.
It does, like, the blast,
Yeah,
kind of.
like when I say our, I'm referring to each of our player characters. Like we're in this cutscene, the ghost is essentially like, "I don't feel good, Mister Stark," drops to the ground, and then our character basically drops to their knees and kind of screams, right? Like,
Yeah.
obviously, incredibly distressing moment. And then, yeah, we're transported into that like white expanse.
It's
And
the Guardian is essentially just before we get teleported, and while we're still teleported, the Guardian is basically yelling at the traveler, like, "Bring him back, bring him back, bring
yeah,
him back."
yeah,
Like,
that's right.
there's a, like, panicked, like yeah, there's the drop to the knee, which is like the "No, no, 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 no"
Yeah,
moment where they realize what's happening, and then it's more or less our character holding the ghost shell in our hand and, like, holding it up and being like, "Bring him back, like, I'll
yeah,
do whatever it take like, please just bring him back, like,
yeah.
please don't do this," like, just begging with the traveler.
Yeah, because like we saw, like throughout the campaign, we saw our ghost get more and more cracked and damaged. And having seen where this goes, if what I've interpreted that as is like prismatic happens, The ghost is basically channeling more and more power into us, and this is just like, you know, the effects of that wearing on it. And then this is like, yeah, we've just like essentially it's just powered a nuke. Fair enough. Tapped out. See you later. Had a good set. But yeah, it was when that happened. I was like, okay, what is happening? Like, kind of. It's like we just won, and now I'm scared again. And then we're transported into this white void, essentially. I'm getting
A little bit
emotional
more
thinking about
begging
it
from the
again.
Guardian. A little bit more
Yeah.
begging from the Guardian. And then we hear a familiar voice.
Yeah, little old Cade 6 walks up behind us. I can't remember heaps of the conversation.
This time, when he walks up, you can see Sundance with him too.
Yes. Yeah, so this is kind of, I think, meant to represent, like, you know, where Cade wants to be at rest in the light, like he had been before the wish pulled him out.
Yeah, the TLDR is him being like, I'm choosing this. This is choosing how I'm going. And basically being like, let everyone know this was my choice.
Yeah.
Which is what caught me. It was him being like, he looks over at Sundance and then he more or less delivers a monologue that ends in, this is my choice. Guardians make their own fate. Please let everyone know this was my choice. You know, because he had his fate ripped away from him and he got a second chance. And yeah, that was a kick in the guts.
Yeah, basically giving up
because
himself to revive our ghost. And then I thought back in that moment to during the campaign where our ghost says that it's almost like Cade is made of light.
And then in retrospect, it was Cade also squaring everything away.
Yeah.
The entire time. I think he knew in his gut that he wasn't leaving.
Yeah, like he made right with all his friends. He handed off the Hunter Vanguard to someone, and then yeah, he in this moment like revived our ghost because he wasn't meant to be there in the first place, right?
So we're talking about backtracking through the campaign and something else. I almost just had a Micah 10 moment again. If you hang around the camp long enough, he very quietly says to your guardian, you know you're always my favorite, right?
Yeah. Yeah, because I think he says that again in that sort of final cutscene there. But yeah, it's just more of
shout out
more of what I wanted to see with Cade in this is like him actually, you know, taking those more mature approaches to things and like bearing responsibility.
And yeah. I was going to say shout out to Bungie because when you think about, you compare this to Forsaken, his last word is a punchline.
Yeah.
Whereas him stepping out was closure. He delivered, like, shout out to Nolan North, obviously. No, Nathan Fillion, sorry. He delivered these lines with such closure and sincerity. There was no punchline. It was just, let me do this. This is what I'm choosing for myself. I know what this means. Let me just be back. And like through the campaign, you see him calling. He clearly misses Sundance.
Yeah.
And he calls out for her and he's like, you know, as we said in the last episode, there's a bit where he's like, no, put me back in. Put me back in. So it delivers like a very strong finality in such sincerity.
Yes.
And like, I think I sent you a snap actually sobbing.
Yeah. Yeah. I had moments during the campaign where I teared up and was, you know, moved by moments, but this produced an audible gasp. Like I was so it just hit me like so hard by this. And like it's perhaps an obvious storytelling move to do that at the end of it all. But it still hit just because of like everything that had come before it and how invested I've been in the story for the last whatever years. And yeah, to like have seen that character's arc from the stupid, goofy guy that just runs around finger gunning everywhere to like essentially giving our ghost a second chance because it tapped itself out, saving the entire existence, right? Um, yeah, just incredible.
Yeah. Inconsolable for at least 20 minutes after that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, you basically, I'm trying to think. You get your ghost back.
Yeah. And then,
And
then we
then
like are back in the tower, the last city.
the
Like
tower.
we see Crow finally went and got himself a better haircut.
Yeah, that's what I was
Coming
gonna
out
bring
with
up.
the
That's
shaved sides and the little ponytail at the back.
that's what I was gonna say. We bullied a man into a new haircut.
Yeah, yeah.
But I think that's also another indicator of Crow's maturity.
Yes.
And he's not hiding anymore.
Exactly. Yeah. There's also like I forget if it's at this point or slightly later. There's like a radio conversation between him and Zavala where Crow is like giving him his Hunter Vanguard field report, and Zavala says at one point like, "Hey, good work out there," and like that was just a very nice little moment too of like again him being elevated to their equal. I would say
That's in the post-credit scene.
Yeah, I would say formally because like Crow has been sort of sort of operating within the Vanguard for a while. But yeah, there's like this one little like scene of them sitting out on a balcony overlooking the city and being kind of somber. And they're like opening the little lanterns and sending them off, and yeah, it's all very pretty and nice.
There's a bit the strangest things, like, so I was done crying and I was like, "Oh, this is so sweet." And then you hear kids playing and all of them look back and it's like a war dog pup.
Mm.
And then an Elixni, I think at that point they're not hatchlings anymore. I think they're called just larvae.
Mm-hmm.
And then Earth Children and Cabal, and it's just like they're all running, chasing this war dog, giggling and laughing. And for some reason that got me. I started crying.
Yeah. Just feeling some kind of way.
War dog pups are so cute.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, sort of the Vanguard plus our Guardian have a nice I guess just moment of reflection and then trying to turn that towards positivity and the future. But yeah, it was just super sweet.
And then we get our final sketch style cutscenes, it seems.
Oh, and there's some cool stuff in there too. I took a bunch of screenshots through that because some of them are just like really, really nice imagery. There's one bit where we see Zavala and Ikora, like Ikora using Strand, I think, and Zavala using Stasis, and then basically like sparring almost. There's a really nice one of Osiris and Saint. I had the screenshots up.
There's the Vanguard going out for a patrol.
Yeah, there's a few of those actually with like all of them in there with Crow as well. Yeah,
it gives like the what happened after energy of like
and this is all before we get into like the season that started this week, which we will definitely talk about because we've had some missions and some extra story stuff there. But this is like the what happened immediately after of like, okay, everybody's kind of going out and like starting to get used to the new normal. And then as you go around the tower and sort of talk to folks, it's like, yeah, people are still obviously grappling with everything. But yeah, it's presented in a very like hopeful way, I would say. Like if you go and talk to Ikora in the tower, she's like, hey, look, we still need to remain vigilant because we don't know when the next threat is going to come. Which, yeah, of course that's true. Like the darkness didn't go away. There's still enemies of the traveler, blah, blah, blah. But it was nice to just have a moment before that of like, hey, look, everybody has now got stuff to look forward to because they now believe they have a future again.
It's like the people of the last city and like the Vanguard and everyone who was directly involved in it have almost like a moment to breathe.
Yes.
Like there's that immediate lifting of weight where they're like, okay, we've got a second to catch our breath, a second to breathe. And then it goes to us sitting on what I think is the helm.
Yeah, it's either the helm or actually it probably is because of like what the perspective is from there. But it's just like, yeah, our guardians sitting there by themselves. I think if you do this in a fire team, those people also show up there, but I was just there by myself, just overlooking Earth, I think, right?
Yeah. And then it says, Gratias vobis agamus, which translates into "we thank you."
Yeah, and that's just attributed to Bungie. It's just like just
that
words.
Got me.
Yeah, I didn't realize what it meant until you told me. I was like, oh damn, that one was just for us.
And it's just a moment of peace with our little ghost. We're just hanging out and watching the Traveler until 3 little lights come out. I thought that was new ghosts being created for a second. I was like,
I did too.
Finding 4 Guardians.
I did too.
And then Crow's like, hey, guess what, bitch? Nope.
Yeah. Yeah, and that all leads into what was it? It wasn't a VDoc, it was like an 8-minute video that they put out called The Journey Ahead.
Yeah. Crow more or less primes us where he's like, hey, so in the shockwave of the Witness being destroyed, three anomalies left the Traveler, and we've lost track of a couple of them, but we know roughly where one is, and it's landed on Nessus, and we don't know what it is yet. All we know, it's just the anomaly. He's like, I don't know if it's light, I don't know if it's dark, but now that the Witness is gone, we need to get on top of this quick.
Yeah.
Because with the Witness gone, we've created a power vacuum.
Exactly.
We have, is it House of Salvation? House of Salvation is still...
Yeah, it's the one that
like
Aramis is gone, but they're still like conflicting.
Like, we have no fucking clue where Aramis went, so she's still a threat. We don't know where she is. Xivu Arath's physical form is still out there. We can't forget Xivu. We technically didn't destroy them. We just took their power.
Yep.
Savathun's up to her bullshit. And I was disappointed when he was like, oh yeah, and by the way, Savathun's trying to take control of the Traveler. I was like, you bitch.
Yeah.
What the hell, bro? Expected behavior.
Yeah.
Disappointed, but not surprised.
Yeah.
What's the big stinky guy, the immortal one? Fickrel.
Oh, Fickrel, yeah.
Fickrel's still out there. And we can't forget the Vex. The Soul Divisive is still a thing.
Never count the Vex out.
So basically, in killing the Witness, we've created a power vacuum, and there's a few different factions that we now are worried are going to kind of rally to try and finish what the Witness started. There's also still more disciples.
Yeah.
There's still followers of the Witness that we haven't killed. So
yeah.
They might, I think at one point they were like, someone might step up to try and take his place.
So this is where I am going to drop one bit of lore from the raid, because I think it's actually pretty relevant to this idea of like the Witness being gone, having created a power vacuum, is that I think it's Unveiling, you have the Gardener and the Winnower, and the Winnower talks about like discovering the first knife. I don't know if you caught it, but the Witness refers to itself as the first knife.
As the first knife.
Because like there's a line in one of the raid sections where the Witness says like, you think we're the Winnower? No, we are just the first knife, which implies that the Winnower is an actual entity. Which is basically like saying God exists. So who knows what the next, kind of like massive scale enemy is going to be.
It's kind of crazy to think it's kind of the Witness saying, oh, you thought I thought of this on my own, homie?
Yeah,
no, I had some inspiration. I had some guidance.
Yeah.
I mean, we haven't confirmed yet that the traveler is the gardener.
No, and I think based on that, I'd be biased towards thinking it's not, because you have like the traveler and the veil being sort of two sides of the same coin. Yeah, I don't think so. But also, like, all of that lore is pretty sketchy to begin with. Like, between unveiling and all that stuff, it's like, you don't know what to believe, you don't know what perspective half of it's written from, all that sort of stuff.
We're also looking from ancient tales from the precursors as well. It's a bit like the Hive lore book.
Yeah.
I nearly said Book of Shadows.
Book of Sorrows.
Book of Sorrows. That's Book of Shadows is from Charmed.
Book of Shadows is also a D&D thing if you play a certain type of warlock.
Which I do.
Yeah, I'm about to.
Surprise.
So yeah, I think that's to say, like, in this the Journey Ahead video we'll talk about in a sec, like, they talk about what the 3 episodes this year are going to be centered around, but then they refer to this thing coming after that, and there's also like the things they talk about coming in these episodes is like, yeah, there'll be like a decently large sort of big bad in there. One of them is Fickrul, for example. And that's like pretty big, but it's nowhere near the scale of something like The Witness. So I think there's still like, there's something big coming. There's something big that's going to happen, whether it's caused by these anomalies or something bigger.
Find out in Destiny 3.
Yeah, well, that's also like a question that's been around for years. It's like, are they going to release something called Destiny 3 at any point in time? I don't know. There's no way to know. But yeah, I was talking to someone at work this week, talking about just, you know, games we're playing, etc. And I was like, yeah, very much back on wanting to play Destiny every day. And I said, like, it's actually really exciting to want to play Destiny this much again. Like, even though we've just had the final shape and everything feels like it's kind of wrapped up, and like I have taken some time to just, like, you know, take a breath. But there's just so much. It feels like there's so much to do again. You know, there's so many new systems, and there's this new episode structure. There's new story that is like, it's new in a way that feels refreshing. Whereas the last, I don't know, year or two, it's like, yeah, we know we're working up to fighting the Witness and everything is kind of in service of that. But now anything's on the table, right? Like, I don't know what's going to happen.
Do seasonals, bail out.
Yeah, that's all I was doing.
Yeah. Actually, I'm the same. Especially this reset. I was like, oh my God, I need to log in and do stuff.
Yeah,
let me on.
I don't know about you, but like, coming up to the final shape coming out, I had thoughts every now and then of like, this might be the point I finally stop playing. It's like, I'll see the story through, and then I was kind of on the fence of whether or not I'd keep going, you know?
And when we're not the only ones. I'm seeing a lot of sentiment online of people being like, oh, the irony of the most excited I've been about Destiny in a while being post-campaign.
Yeah.
Like,
well, it's also like, it's post-story. Like, we don't know what's going to happen next in any sense.
Yeah, like, it's so funny to be so into this game post final, like, major lore drop.
Yeah.
Or the final big bad.
Yeah, but I think, you know, to reference back to like the Avengers Endgame joke, like, it feels like after one of those massive Marvel Cinematic Universe phases would end, where they've spent, you know, like 10 movies and maybe 3 TV shows building up to some massive momentous clash. And it feels like we've just had our first version of that, of like, okay, Thanos is dead, essentially. Now, see what happens, you know?
Yeah.
And it is legitimately exciting.
Yeah.
Okay, so the journey
episodes
ahead. Yes.
Yes.
So this was a, like, I don't know, 8.5 minute video. They're talking about episode 1, 2, and 3 that we're going to have this year, with a little thing at the end that we'll get to. But episode 1, obviously, it's out now. We have Echoes, which actually I think the like logo treatment for this is sick as hell. It's like angular font work and some very cool stuff happening there. The Vex are up to some bullshit. One of those anomalies we saw come out of the Traveler has essentially like punched its way through the planet's surface, and it's not like created a crater; it's just gone like just straight into it. Having gone to Nessus and like done a bunch of the seasonal stuff, it looks like prismatic shit is coming out of the hole. And I don't know if you've gone inside the Traveler since reset this week, but if you look up at where the Witnesses monolith was, there's like big kind of like almost like radiant shit kind of shot through that. There's a ton of like little skybox updates within the Traveler that
interesting
reflect back to the changes this week. So some nice aesthetic work there. But what do we got? Yeah, so saying like there's essentially like this there's like I don't know waves or like this aurora coming out of the Traveler, and if you go to the helm and look out at the Traveler, you can see these like waves of that kind of purpley prismatic style energy coming out. And yeah, they're saying that like it's manifesting the memories of the witness. These are your notes. Why am I reading? You walk me through this.
Hello. First things first. Credit where credit is due. Devs in this VDoc were Jason Reynolds, the creative lead, Sam Rux, art director, and Alison Lurs, the narrative director.
Narrative. Yeah.
I was so concentrated on saying her last name right that I like forgot English. Yes. So Echoes, basically reiterating what Crow had already said. Ayo, the Traveler just shit this stuff out. We don't know what it is, but we know one of them went to Nessus. So they basically, yeah, as you were saying, they basically described that emanating kind of wave as manifesting memories of the witness. So basically, I think the way that is permeating is, I guess, almost like when we were in the Traveler, the way our memories and ghost memories, it's happening on the outside now, except it's the witness's memories.
Yeah.
So we're getting more of the witness lore. We also don't really know how long the witness has been around, and also how long they have actually been messing with stuff. So it's going to probably be some big lore dumps, and we'll probably realize some events within Destiny's history was the witness.
Yeah.
Just the same as we had a larger scale of the revelations we had with Savathun, I suppose, where we were like, oh, you had your fingers in the pie the whole time. I feel like that's going to happen through these, where we're like, oh my god, the witness was messing with a lot more shit than we thought.
Yeah.
They gave us a little trailer for Echoes. And so essentially the way I wrote these notes was stuff that I'd noticed, stuff in the trailer, and then also like thoughts I was having while I was watching it. Usual Meckii yapping gibberish.
Like this is before
incoherent.
This is before you've even played it to see what week one of Echoes is like.
So they gave us a big old trailer, and one thing I noticed and we learnt today, there was lots of Saint and Osiris in the trailer.
Yeah.
But it looks like Saint's not having a great time. He seems to be in a lot of pain and kind of struggling is the only way I could describe it.
Doesn't he say at one point like I used to be a great enemy of the Vex, it's time to go and remind them?
Yeah. It's just sick. Saint being so cool. But he is struggling. He's having a rough time. He's got a bit of a headache. Feeling a little bit not himself. And another thing I noticed was in the preview picture, there's a big enemy with a big hand.
Yeah.
And it's kind of guardian shaped.
Well, it's humanoid wearing armor, but humanoid. I get what you mean.
And it from bits that we see in the trailer and voice lines in the trailer, they're kind of alluding to this thing potentially controlling the Vex or influencing the Vex, which is huge because, as we know, the Vex see all futures. They're Doctor Strange, but robots.
Yeah.
And can travel timelines and manipulate timelines to their own purpose.
Well, it's also like they've never needed someone to give them direction because they can calculate the perfect choice.
They've mathematically led, and now they're being almost, I guess, controlled. Another thing I noticed is they seem to have this light collar around them.
Yeah.
Which matches the light collar on the imagery in the poster. So I don't know if that's like foreshadowing. Probably, knowing Bungie and their Easter eggs.
Yeah.
One thing I was also thinking about through this is we were looking a lot at the Vex network and the Soul Divisive and the Vex and the way that this anomaly is on Nessus changing the Vex. And it's almost like the Vex network is bubbling to the surface. It's starting to integrate with our realm. So one theory I have is maybe a whole bunch of Vex-related characters are going to be coming back. Ashamir, the Ishtar.
Ashamir would be actually pretty fun.
Maya Sundaresh, there's 12 of her in there, remember?
I could see some hook to the Ishtar because it was at the end of one of the exotic missions where there's that like Vex geometry construction of the Ishtar logo.
Yeah, I accidentally found that.
Yeah.
Remember, I was like, guys, is this the Ishtar logo?
Star-crossed.
The one it's near What's-His-Face's body.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I jumped up on a bunch of platforms and I was like, where's this going? And then I was like, guys, I'm in the Vex network.
Yeah, and like, I don't think anyone's ever really clarified why they put that in that fucking mission.
Yeah. Don't forget, Maya Sundaresh is still in the network too, creating infinite copies.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if Chise ever put herself in there. But
I don't think so. I think
Maya's in there. So Maya is a possibility as well because she's just in there bouncing around.
Okay.
So there's a few people who've been fuck-assing around with the Vex that could come back. Asher's in the network. We know Asher is in the network.
Yes.
But he's also been a help in the past, so I anticipate if he does return, he might return in the same way that he did for that Glaive mission. I feel like Maya's a possibility.
Yeah.
So they also mentioned that we will also start to discover secrets of a lost civilization in Nessus.
Yes.
And my theory was, precursor civ?
Maybe. Maybe.
So that was really interesting to me. They're the main things I noticed from the trailer. Was just that got my head running because I was like, who do I know from the lore that is like deep in the Vex bullshit? And then I was like, Ishtar, and then Ishtar, Maya.
Those I think are my current front
there's also potentially a Maya Exo still out there somewhere other than Lakshmi.
Oh, weird.
Because she cloned herself in the network, don't forget.
Yeah.
There was also a scene or a picture, I can't remember if it was in the trailer or they showed it in the VDoc, where it looks like they're in some sort of lab and there looks like there's a robot or an exo on a slab, and part of me is like, is that Maya?
I didn't really catch that scene. I might have to go and rewatch this whole video.
There's also an entire lore entry about Clovis performing surgery on himself as an exo before the Vex interject with it and mess with the machinery.
Yeah.
So he basically wakes up to his
are we gonna have
guts being all over the table?
We're gonna have some more fucking Clovis shit coming back into the mix.
I mean, he's not exactly dead.
No.
We got rid of him when we got rid of Red, but he's also in the network as well, so.
I could see it.
And there's the AI up in, you know.
Yeah.
So they were the things I noticed about Echoes.
Yeah. I don't think
and
I
also
don't
a
think
lot
I
of the
noticed much more than that. I noticed more like playing this week's story stuff.
And then the VDoc was more or less like, we're not going to talk too much about it because you're about to get it.
Yeah.
Resets in a day.
Yeah.
So you'll find out about that.
Yeah.
So I guess we'll talk about what or do you want to go through the trailer?
I think we could just go through the rest of the trailer. Because I think like the stuff we've actually done in this first week is pretty light. But yeah, so episode 2 this year is moving on to Revenant.
Which I'm excited about because my calculations are correct. It's going to fall around one of the times of season of the Festival of the Lost.
Oh, sure.
And it's spooky ooky bullshit.
Yeah, hell yeah. I mean, they basically just came out and said like, yeah, the bad guy's Fickrel.
It's Fickrel. But then they said it's about slaying vampires with a touch of Splicer.
Is that what they said?
Yeah. They were like, it's fallen themed, it's spooky, it's dirty, it's old school horror, monster of the week kind of vibe about the aesthetics. And then they said it's about slaying vampires with a touch. They said it's like slaying vampires with a touch of Splicer.
Right.
And the follow-up is we get to be a Slayer Baron, which is apparently a highly regarded monster hunter in Elixir culture. One thing I noticed is when they talk about that, they show us a picture of Elixir looking at a hive, like a worm god.
Hell yeah.
It's like 3 Elixir and then like a worm god kind of looming over them. Another big thing is we get a potion crafting system.
Yeah. I don't think they showed much of it, but what the hell?
They didn't go. It looks like Ido is our vendor for the potion crafting system, which I love Ido. Cute. She's a delight, so I'm so excited to make potions with Ido. But they basically said it's just going to contribute to better loot and better endgame drops.
Oh, okay. So actually, so there's a system in the Pale Heart as you do like overthrows and stuff like that. You unlock like these different blessings.
It might be something like that, or you might be collecting resources, and then the way you use the resources is a potion and contributes to.
Yeah.
You know how you could activate different tarot cards to.
Yeah, I did think about that system. Yeah.
I think it's going to be very similar to the tarot system, where it'll be just a matter of using resources to boost different stats.
Yeah, but yeah, these travelers' blessings is like you get the screen. There's like 2 separate sets of them presented in a wheel. You can activate one from each, and when you finish like a full
yes, the blessings. Yeah, when you finish, I've got the slidey fire one now.
When you finish a full 4 waves of overthrow, you then get to plant a seed into one of the fucking hands around the place, and you go to one of those to get the blessing, and you just get whichever ones you've selected. Yeah, that sliding fire one is pretty sick.
It's fun. And then as you said, Fickrel's back. He's immortal because of the Riven Wish, and now he's setting up shop in an awoken watchtower.
Yeah, just a lot going on there, and I can't.
But it looks ooky, it looks spooky, it looks crusty, it looks dusty.
Yeah,
I'm excited. Can't wait to see what armor sets drop from that. I think they're going to be wild. And I love when Destiny goes ooky, spooky, crusty.
Yeah.
I love crusty Destiny.
Yeah, and speaking of crusty, then we get to episode 3, Heresy.
Yes.
I know you've got a bunch of notes here, but I'm just going to call out that we are going back to the fucking Dreadnought. Like, sick. I'm on because it's just been sitting there in the rings of Saturn this entire time.
Just been vibing.
Yeah.
You don't worry about it.
Adverse possession kicks in. That's our home now.
Don't worry about it. It's just stale. It's just hanging out. Don't worry about it. So they said that we are going back to the Hive Pantheon.
Yep.
And we will be stress testing relationships. Zevo's still around. Savathun is back now. Oryx's corpse, just about.
Yeah, bottom of the ocean, but maybe still has some juice in it.
It's been that we keep making I nearly said how they threw Osama's body into the fucking ocean. But I was thinking of the Transformer, but they also did throw Osama's body into the...
You mean Optimus Prime?
No, Megatron. The bad one.
Because then my Prime went to Optimus Prime Laden, and that's bad. It's just not even right.
Yeah, so we did Megatron his body.
Yeah.
So it's just there, and we also intercepted a attempt to resurrect him.
Yeah.
And the Lucent Hive is still operating under Savathun's control, as we've learned.
And they're inside the Traveler.
And they're in the Traveler. Except we have Lakuza?
Lucaru? Something like
that.
Lucazu.
Luzaku.
That's
Luzaku.
it.
We have that homie now.
Yeah.
We have this one now.
Yeah, this one. That one. They refer to themselves as this one. It's that one.
We have this one now. So I'm wondering if it's just basically just going to be us pitting Xivu against Sava.
Mm-hmm.
Because we love some sister rivalry in this household.
Yeah.
They also described it as our return, and the anomaly being in that area is a eldritch force, which is opening doors and creating mysteries.
Sign me up.
Love that.
Yeah.
We're going back to the Dreadnought, and then one of the developers was like, yeah, fans thought we'd forgotten about it, but we didn't. Which means we are getting he said, we're getting the Dreadnought back. You know that area that we used to have?
Oh, like the patrol zone?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I can picture that fucking drop zone right now.
Yeah. So he's like, we're taking you back there, but it's different. It's changed.
Of course.
They're using the imagery of peeling. So it's like the Dreadnought and everything associated with the Dreadnought, the imagery is almost like flesh peeling to reveal bone.
I mean, it was already pretty fucking bony in there.
It's like rotting. It's decaying. It's leathery flesh peeling away from bone.
It's like the forbidden section of the library where there's the books bound in human flesh.
Yeah.
Ugh.
So I said that it was like, it looks like flesh peeling to reveal bone. It's desiccated and dry and crusty dusty. We're getting crusty again. I love it. We got two seasons of crust. Give it to me. Another thing they showed is Eris themed armor. We're just straight up gonna look like we're in Eris's fire team.
Oh, is Eris getting up amongst that
we're
Hive God pantheon?
Like the leather panel.
Yeah. But I'm wondering if this is calling back to like Season of the Witch, where she did for a moment become the most powerful Hive being and then said no thank you. Is this now bringing that back into play in some way? Like,
maybe,
what are we doing?
But she also understands Hive, I guess, culture, and she understands the sword logic. So she might be a useful tool in giving us the knowledge of how to pit Xivu and Savathun against each other.
True.
Or how to go in and break those integral bonds down to get what we need.
Yeah.
The second one is we get Hive ship armor, which has been described as navigator armor, which is jumped out at me because Oryx was called the first navigator.
Is that before or after he becomes Oryx? Is it like Orash then became
in the
Oryx?
original Kingsfall raid? After you finish the raid, it says something like, we deny the title of navigator or something.
Right.
From memory, it says something like, we deny or we denounce the title, Oryx's title, the navigator. But I always remember they talk about Oryx being the first navigator.
Right.
And I think that's in relation to him being the first to leave Fundament.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's right. Like, it became a thing of like, he had essentially conquered Fundament and then was like, okay, but what else can I do? Let's go to space.
Give me more.
Yeah.
So the fact that they're referring to the armor and being on the Dreadnought, as they keep using the word navigator in the VDoc in the description, kind of caught my attention.
Yeah.
Can I fly the Dreadnought? Let
No,
me
I hope
crash
not.
it into things.
Can I activate the nuke sitting inside of it?
Yes. So I guess we'll see. That's quite a while away, and I'm enjoying Echoes, but I'm ready to get crusty. I grow weary of the neon architecture. Give me dark and dirty and crusty and stinky.
Get this shiny Vex bullshit out of here.
Give me Varix. I hope Revenant. Is it Revenant? Yeah, I hope Revenant means that we get more Varix.
That'd be nice.
Please?
I miss him.
More Elixni as a whole.
Yeah.
Everyone who listens to this pod and you as a human being know how badly I want Elixni to be a playable race.
Yeah. I don't think
I wish to skitter. I wish to scatter. I wish to chitter. Let me be the bug.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm actually really excited about all of it.
Yeah.
Going back to the Dreadnought, huge.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fucking around with the Savathun's family and like messing with her shit some more, huge.
Yeah, I'm not sure how the timelines will play out with the final shape getting delayed until June, but that is all within the next calendar, like within a year from now. Like that's all what we're getting, which is sick.
Huge. And then that leads us into year 11.
And that was a wild thing to see in the presentations. They just called out, it's like year 11. It's like, oh, fuck, it has been that long.
In the same breath, they ain't told us shit.
No. No.
They said, this is what's coming, and we've called it Codename Frontiers.
Yeah.
Cool. Are we getting new planets, maybe?
Yeah, so that is like currently the only thought I have, because that was like a theory I saw kicking around about like what would come after the final shape is like we would leave the solar system for whatever reason. That is kind of what I'm thinking here, because like, you know, Frontiers, we're reaching outside of like these planets and the solar system that we've known. I don't think it would be the first time. I think there is references to people having done that in the lore. But I'm wondering if these like, you know, these anomalies that have come out of the Traveler, because they're described as moving at relativistic speeds, which is to say incredibly fucking quickly. I wonder if we are tracking down the last one of those and it leaves our solar system.
Yeah.
Or if we're getting like one of these a season or one of these an episode, and then there's like some next bigger thing.
The way they described it sounded like each anomaly is an episode.
Right.
And we're hunting down the anomaly in the relevant spaces. So like this anomaly is going to fall into wherever Fickrel's hiding out, or it falls and then Fickrel tracks it down.
Yeah.
And then changes happen around these anomalies, because as we'll get into, we've learnt that the anomalies so far, the one that we found where it has landed, it has started to rapidly change not only the metaphysical space, but then also the physical space. The ecology around these anomalies is changing. The creatures around these anomalies are changing. It's almost like they're getting boosted. So it's like I feel like maybe potentially what we're looking at is each episode is around an anomaly, and the way the anomaly is changing that environment, and then the mysteries and the shit happening in each episode is going to be a direct result of the anomaly being in that space. That's kind of what it feels like. I could be wrong.
And then probably all of that leads us into whatever Frontiers is.
The Traveler's like, goodbye. It tries to escape again.
Finally time. You guys have had enough. I'm cutting you off.
We don't have red to stop it. No.
But yeah, that's all we get out of that. So look, we're running long. Let's very quickly talk about week 1 of Echoes.
Sorry. Me being an absolute lore nerd saw so much shit in that VDoc that like got my brain going.
I think between, you know, last episode and this episode, both of which had a ton of shit happening around the time. So I don't think there's any issue. I think we'll be back to like regular length stuff next week when we're just talking about like week to week seasonal content.
Yeah.
But anyway, we start week one of Echoes. We get like this very sweet cutscene at the end of like step 4 of the quest, which is basically just Osiris and Saint calling back to like a previous conversation they had during Final Shape, where they're like, we will get to, you know, live out that dream we had of exploring the stars together. And there's like this, they're talking about like eventually, it seems like they're saying taking one of the Exodus ships out into new star systems, and there's like this shot of them in the cockpit of an Exodus craft. And they just in the seats up the front, holding hands and just like talking about that dream in more detail. So yeah, they're just keeping that ball rolling of like, you know, this is the thing they hope for. They now believe they will have a crack at it.
I think the notes for the seasonal stuff, first thing I type, all caps, gay dads are tagging along.
Yeah, they're coming along to Nessus to look into
Crow's
the ship.
like, I'm sending Titan and Osiris with you because a Titan, Saint and Osiris with you because Osiris knows about this paracausal bullshit, mumbo jumbo, and the Vex network.
Yeah.
And Osiris is not, Saint is not letting Osiris out of his sight now.
Yeah.
So he's coming to, I'm coming too.
Yeah, it's very good. So yeah, we go to Nessus. We talked to Failsafe a bit.
She's a bit salty that we haven't been around.
Well, this is the thing. So I forget where exactly it happens, but there's like this conversation we have with her where she's essentially getting caught up on every major event since like Shadowkeep.
That happens essentially when we get her into the helm.
Yeah, and it's
so she's a vendor in the helm
so
now.
Fucking funny. She's like I think she knows Cade died, but then she's like, what was the shit she was saying? I don't think I took any screenshots of it. But basically just like calling out every big thing we've done in increasing amounts of incredulity. Just like, what the fuck have you been up to and why don't I know about it?
Yeah. Like you went to Neptune? What the hell?
Yeah. All of that, all of the big fucking shit we've done, and she's like, "What, the witness is dead? Like, what the hell?" And then like is walking it back from there.
Rasputin came back.
Yeah.
And now he's dead.
Yeah. So good. But yeah, so we go chat to Failsafe. There's like this initial mission to essentially hook her into the helm so that we can just like talk to Failsafe there. But yeah, we track down where this anomaly has kind of crashed through the surface. And we're what are we even doing? We're like kind of hacking the system in this seasonal activity.
So what we're seeing is the network, the Vex network starting to bubble to the surface, and the activity includes geysers, like Vet's Failsafe saying don't drink the milk, which sent me.
Yeah.
Geysers of like radiolarian basically, and we're pulling data from those geysers and then depositing them with Failsafe in these beacons. That's one of the activities.
And then we're also throughout all of this collecting weird biological samples that we're like researching because like it's changing so much stuff, I guess.
The anomaly, the closer you get to the anomaly, the more the ecological environment is changing, and then the Vex are changing. So we're pulling the data for the Vex, and then we're pulling samples from the environment.
Have you... Try to remember. So like after you kind of like do that first pass at the seasonal activity that they funnel you into, there's another like quest that opens up that is like power level requirement 2005. So I'm not quite there yet. I'm at like 1970 something. But you go into Nessus, into the Well of Echoes, I think, and you follow the waypoint, and it's like, oh, it's pointing me towards this hole, and I can't see the bottom of it, and I'm jumping around, just going like, I'm pretty sure I'll die if I try to go in here. What is this? And then I was just like, well, I guess I'll just see. And then I fell, and I fell, and I fell, and I went to a part of Nessus that has never existed before. There is truly a deep underground situation that they have added here in Echoes. So there is some real wild shit happening.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
I saw that power level and didn't load in. I was like, oh.
Yeah. I didn't, well, because it's week 1. I was like, oh, I assume I'll just be able to do this. They've put it in front of me so early. And then I went to open it. It was like, oh wait, that's like a good 30 to 40 above where I'm at right now.
Yeah,
Don't think so.
I think we'll just be having to grind some of the activities to pop some new levels.
Yeah. Back to that.
But yeah, I bitched out. I was like,
yeah,
not for me.
No way.
Not for Meckii.
But yeah, so again, it's week 1. I don't think we know enough to really go much deeper than that, except that it seems very interesting and aesthetically also interesting. Like, yeah, there's this different like purple prismatic style light. There's like Vex shit all over the place. The Vex enemies have like this, I don't know, something about their form is different, and it's similar to when we saw the bound enemies inside the Traveler, where they've got kind of like
They
a
have
little bit of
collars
extra,
on.
yeah.
They've got that light collar on, I noticed. So that's in the trailers and also in the promo image. It's like a light collar.
Yeah. So yeah, honestly, I don't know what else to say because I don't know how much more I know yet.
One of the big things that stuck out to me was Failsafe saying that the Vex are unprepared for these changes.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah.
this is something they didn't predict. They
Yeah.
couldn't predict. And then on top of that, she's like, they're acting different. It's like they're being.
She says they're figuring it out as opposed to like calculating moving forward. She's like, they're kind of just like fucking around in the dark and seeing what happens.
And there's an external influence as well, she's noted, which I'm guessing is those light colors. But that was big to me when she was like, yeah, they don't know what's happening.
Yeah, but also like,
that's huge for the Vex to not know.
And if there is something influencing them, that's all happened incredibly quickly.
Yeah.
But I guess like on the scale of the Vex operate at, like they're able to simulate so many things very quickly. So like that maybe isn't the biggest deal, but just the idea that there's some single entity controlling or influencing the Vex, like that had to be either somehow in progress, but which I doubt, because like who could have predicted any of this shit going the way it did?
Theory crafting. Someone's in the network.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah. Need to unlock your iPhone first. You gotta unlock your iPhone? Who are you talking to? Siri's in the Vex network?
Name. They're listening. One of the ideas I played with was potentially someone who is very good at the Vex network kind of had an idea this was coming. So they were able to get to it first.
Yeah, it could be.
It's landed in their laps, maybe?
Yeah.
If that thing's crashed through the earth and landed in the vicinity of where they are.
Yeah. Hey, look, we'll
Maya,
see.
Maybe?
We'll see. We've got
Maya?
We've got a bunch of weeks to find out, because these are, of course, longer than seasons. You know, it's like there's a 3-act structure. I think it's like 3 sets of 6 weeks of story, something like that.
That big guy in the trailer that I said is guardian shaped.
These ones.
Kind of warlock shaped. You know who else was a warlock?
You.
Asher.
Yeah. That'd be so wild. Ashimir comes back as a bit of a bad guy. All right.
A bit of a dickhead.
He always was a bit of a dickhead. Let's be real.
He was a Discord mod dickhead. He had Discord mod energy.
He just wants to be able to say the N-word. All his favorite rappers do.
Hello, princess. I noticed that you're back in the Vex network and you didn't come and say hello to me.
It's just, I'm getting served enough cringe reels on Instagram, and some of them are that.
Hello, princess.
Stop it. I mean, look, there actually isn't much more.
All we know.
Yeah.
That's all we know.
Hey, some of the season's weapons look pretty sick. I think they're calling them time worn. You know, you got time lost, etc. One of them is a grenade launcher that sounds like it does Witherhoard type shit. I think it's called an area denial frame, which is very interesting.
Oh.
I don't know if that's a new thing, but I thought that was cool.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we've got the big silly helmets.
I love the Warlock one, the fucking like Hey Arnold.
Sideways through doorways, like Not gonna be able to walk through a doorway.
It's so
You know
dumb.
that thing is going on the moment I drop it.
Yeah, you
It's
gotta
like the
find all
meme
the
of
widest shit and put it all on.
it's the meme of if I win the lotto, I won't say anything, but there'll be signs. It'll just be me loading into an activity, and it'll be like, if I drop the helmet, I won't say anything, but there will be signs, and it'll just be me.
Yeah, just stanced out on the head.
Big head.
Yeah. Turn yourself into an upside down pyramid. But yeah, that's pretty much everything for this here episode, except to say there was one rather interesting announcement today. Somebody's going back to Bungie.
Yeah.
Shout out to our boy DMG making his way back to be global community lead, which, hey, if anyone deserves that title, I think it's him.
Someone Photoshop his face on that image from the trailer. It's just DMG's face.
This one, just
yeah, global community lead, and it's just him.
yeah, I'm very excited to see like what comes with that. I know that there's been a bunch of changes to the community team over there, including like a lot of their external facing content going behind a singular Destiny team kind of moniker. So I'm curious to see if this means that we'll see changes to their like community communication structure, or if it's just like further refinements on what they've been doing.
It's amazing he's coming back after everything the community put him through.
Yeah, also true. I think everybody like kind of went, yeah, he was actually good. Everybody kind of like
I just
realized
a deeper. I've always had mad respect for him. But like the fact he's coming back and very publicly coming back, I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah.
If I see any fucking nerds fucking with DMG again, it's on sight.
Yeah, I will bounce you from this comment section so quickly. Get out of here.
It's on sight.
In this house, we respect the community team. Just let's go. Catch me outside the Traveler.
Bite your ankles. Oh, tear the tendons from your wrists.
Oh,
how you can play Destiny with no tendons?
Yuck. Yuck, dude. Just in there. All right, on that
you won't like it when I go Chihuahua mode.
on that frightening and unsettling tone, let's get out of here. Hey, look, it's
ending with a threat.
Yeah. It's again an exciting time to play Destiny. There's never a better time to play Destiny than when you're playing Destiny. You should play Destiny. It's a cool game.
Play Destiny with your friends. It's also very good.
Do that. It's a good time. Let us know in the comments below. You got one? I'm stalling.
Which chapter are you most excited about?
Oh, which episode?
Yeah.
Yeah. Which of the three variously crusty episodes are you looking forward to most? This first one doesn't seem too crusty, but I'm sure there's some crust involved.
It's data crust.
Data crust, yeah. Those hard drives you haven't looked at for a while.
It's the cyberpunk crust. Like
a bit, yeah. Yeah. But yeah, drop us a note, say hello, like, subscribe, etc. Point more computers in our direction. Hopefully people are looking at them. If they're not, tell your friends to check us out. That'll do it for this whole ding dong episode.
Yeah.
We'll bloody see you next time.
Yeah. See you next time. Appreciate you.